So watching this situation develop where again Slafkovsky against Columbus gets his first NHL assist, he's growing, he's developing, he's getting better it seems like every game, even though he's on the fourth line. I mean, like, yes, he's getting some power play time, and man, does he look good on the power play, but from the fourth line, man, I mean, he can only do so much. If you put him up higher, which I'm sure the Habs will at some point, but right now, I mean, it's fun and it's annoying as a Habs fan to be clamoring for this, and most, if not all, Habs fans are clamoring for him to be higher in the lineup. But it just got me thinking, because this was a huge discussion, and before the draft, it was Shane Wright, and not even this draft. I'm talking like, dude, I was hearing this kid's name as the first overall pick of 2022 since like 2017, I remember, when he was with the Don Mills Flyers. But Slafkovsky coming out, and a lot of people have made videos, and I've watched them. They're really interesting. They're good videos. The real reason, the truth comes out why Slafkovsky was picked first overall. And honestly, man, like, I just think he was the better player. And of course, it's easy to say this now in hindsight, right? They've both played. Shane Wright's been a healthy scratch a lot, whereas Slafkovsky's actually playing. It's easy for me to come out here and say, oh yeah, Slafkovsky's the better player. But I'll be the first one to say that at the draft, I thought and wanted them to take Shane Wright. I was for sure, it was like, okay, Shane Wright, 95%, let's go here. Okay, let's do it. Shane Wright, first line center, Nick Suzuki, second line center, let's go Montreal. But no, right? I mean, they ended up going with Slafkovsky, and when I first heard it, I was completely taken aback. I was like, what? Like, I know these were rumors, but like, you guys are actually gonna do it? I thought this was just stuff to stir things up and make the draft seem more dramatic than it actually is gonna be, and make it less of a boring first overall pick as far as like everybody knows who it's gonna be. But no, man, I think this guy was just a better player. We can go into attitude as well, which, again, from Shane Wright, I mean, I don't want to go out and completely say the dude had a bad attitude. But there were some moments. He's had his moments where he does come off a little bit arrogant, a little bit cocky. I'm not saying he is that, but that's what he comes off as sometimes in the media, especially before he got humbled by that fourth overall pick by Seattle, and again by the healthy scratches. Now, you don't really hear a peep out of Shane Wright. And again, let me just say that I'm a fan of this kid. I want him more than anything to go to the World Juniors with Team Canada and play in Halifax. And I want him to wear that C. I want Shane Wright to be the captain of that team, to lead them, and to maybe even be one of, if not the leading scorers on a line with Connor Bedard. Okay, that's what I really want. I know theoretically Bedard's a center, but I think, to me, from what I've seen from Bedard, yes, he can play center, but man, will he be an amazing scoring winger. That would just be awesome to see from Connor Bedard. But that's what I want for Shane Wright, truthfully. I want him to go to the World Juniors and light it up and change the narrative here. But Slafkovsky, man, I mean, he's got good attitude, he's funny, he's full of life, but he's not cocky. But also, on the ice, he's good. And yes, he's still raw, I will admit. He is raw, okay? He's learning. Look at that hit from behind on Matt Luff against Detroit. Like, he's raw. He's learning a lot of stuff about the game and about the NHL. But I do think the potential for Slafkovsky is higher than for Shane Wright. And again, hindsight 2020, I'm not saying I projected this and all listen to me. No, I was dead wrong about this. But what I'm saying is, I think Shane Wright is going to project as a second, third line center. Doesn't mean he can't still light up the World Juniors, but I think he projects as a second to third line center, and I think Slafkovsky projects as a first to second line left winger. Okay, I do think he's going to be a scorer, and I think closer to first line. And for me, Slafkovsky is a guy who's in his prime is probably going to be able to put up 30 goals. I really do think so. And that's a great player right there if the Habs can get that. But to me, I think it just won down to a situation where Slafkovsky was more raw than Wright, which it doesn't look like it right now, because Wright is healthy scratched and Slafkovsky isn't. But Slafkovsky's still putting a lot of pieces together about the North American game. That's what I mean by raw. I don't mean that Shane Wright was more ready for higher level hockey. I mean that Slafkovsky's played in Slovakia, he's played in Europe. Like, it took some time, and it's still taking some time for him to adjust to the North American ice, the North American game, the names, the players. Richard Zednik told him last week, don't read the papers. You know what Slafkovsky said in response? I don't even understand them. So that's what I mean by he's raw. He's learning the way of life, the game in the NHL, and it's a process here. And clearly it is with Shane Wright too, but for me the real reason, man, is, I mean, you can go on about attitude, about this and that. I think somehow, I don't know how they projected this, how they saw this, but when this kid burst onto the scene with his Olympic MVP, and again, he had such a small sample size. I don't know how people projected this, but they said, okay, this kid is going to give us more in the long run. He's going to be better for us in the long run, which, again, I don't know how, because both of them, like, yes, Wright had a couple seasons cut short by the virus there, but still, he had a lot more than Slafkovsky did. Like, I remember what was it, like 10 games or something Slafkovsky had his sample size, plus Olympics. So, to me, I don't know how they did it, but they did. They got Slafkovsky, and let's be real about it. Right now, it seems like the right pick to have gone with Juraj Slafkovsky.